Good morning and welcome to Two Dudes in a Bible, the podcast that you have been waiting for. I am your host, Pastor Ren Shuffman, and joining me is my co-host. What is that? Breaking news. This just in. Oh, no, my co-host is this Justin. Gotcha. All right, my co-host is this Justin Heckel right here. We're excited to have you on. I'm excited to be on with you. How are you doing this morning?
Doing fantastic. How about yourself?
I am doing great. My city is doing great. There is a parade in 30 minutes because of how great my city is doing. That we're just like, our city should have a parade because we're awesome. So, yeah, I'm excited. If you didn't know, our Oklahoma City Thunder won the NBA Finals, which is a big deal for this small market team. So we're all celebrating. We're all good. God has heard our cries. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Let us know where you're watching from. Say hello, and you'll see the comments scroll on the screen. This is a live recording.
You know, it's funny that you said this is a live recording.
Live in front of a live studio audience.
Dude, we need a laugh track.
Right. I can do that.
But I feel like Andre the Giant right there. We need a laugh track. You are the laugh track.
You are the laugh track. If you don't understand that reference, find another podcast.
Yeah, that's right. I've thought about starting doing interviews only with other Justins and calling it This Justin. And being like, this Justin does this for a living.
That's fantastic. Would you guys watch that? This Justin. All just famous Justins or Justins doing important things. Only Justins. Because what Justin has found is that all Justins are the same.
They're practically the same person.
They're the same. It's a glitch. And if you ever had that, the conspiracy theory that we're really just in like a glorified video game, you know what I mean? Where you got the background characters that are just, that are cycled. Like that's it. Justin was like that. Just do one Justin and just cycle their looks.
Keep it moving.
Right. Yeah, keep it moving. All Justins. Right.
Well,
what is it called? Non-player character?
Oh,
NPC?
yeah. NPC.
You guys are non-player characters.
We just walk around like.
You're like, I'm a good husband. I'm not a player.
Have you seen the video? Have you seen the videos where guys walk around like they're an NPC? Oh, nice. Oh, they took my Chewbacca away.
Oh. All right, guys. Well, let us know where you're watching from this morning as we jump into the podcast today. We'll try not to be NPCs. We'll try to be players in this podcast. Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question. Do you think Gangnam Style is a Jewish song?
Why would it be a Jewish song?
Because it says Oppa.
Oppa.
Oppa Gangnam
I think that's Greek.
Oh,
that's
you're right.
Greek.
You're right.
Oppa. We say oy vey.
Oy vey.
Which is like, oh, brother. Like, what the heck? It actually means whoa. Whoa. In the Bible, when it says woe unto you, actually that would be oy vey unto you. It just doesn't land the same in English. Oy vey unto you. Oh. Whoa. Like your song, woe to the one who gets between the lion and his bride. It would be oy vey to the one who gets between the lion and his bride.
We're so doing a Jewish version.
L'chaim, oy vey to the one who gets between the lion and his bride. Right?
We're getting all
It's on sale on Spotify.
Do Jews do sales? I guess it would rack in the money faster.
Yes. You could get one song for $5. You can get two songs for $15. It's a deal. It's a Jewish.
The funny part is when you rack stuff off like that, it actually takes me like 2 seconds for my brain to catch up. Wait a second. He just said what?
I love the delayed laugh. You die in laughter, but you're like, I got to process that because my brain was going somewhere else and it's got to back up, listen to what he said, then respond.
I tell people all the time, I understand the verse. Well, the fact that there are so many scriptures that say things like God laughs at our plans, and yet at the same time he's angry at the wicked, and all this kind of stuff. It's like he has all these emotions going on all at once. I'm like, I kind of do the same thing. I'm laughing and processing, and
Yeah. That's right. You people that don't have ADD brain, you don't understand the Lord like we do.
that's right.
You don't understand the four things going through our mind all at the same time. And one of them is going to get attention, and the other three are just going to fall by the wayside all day.
It's so true. My cousin was here last night helping me fix some things around the house. And I said, this is why you like having projects to do, because as we went from working on my AC and then we're going inside, I simply look over and I see that our dryer trap needs to be pulled out and cleaned out outside. And I'm like, this is why you like doing projects, because you automatically end up with like 30 things done at the end of the day because something caught your attention while you were doing the other thing. It's just you never ended up doing the thing that you originally planned to do. It's about true. It's about true.
That's 100% true. That's how it works. I don't know how. I literally, when I was setting up the studio, I said I need to walk down from the other side of the building and turn on all the lights and set up the studio. I came in, turned on the soundboard, turned on the computer, walked all the way back to the other side of the building and said, I went in there to turn on the lights so they were warmed up and everything was... I didn't even turn on the lights. And that's the most important part because they take a little bit to like mellow out. And so I'm like, so I had to walk all the way back. And if you don't know, our building is 15,000 square feet. So it's not like it's on the other end and it's a long building. So I'm like, oh boy. Okay.
If you didn't remember to tell him, I was going to tell him because yes, it is a ways.
Yeah, it is a ways. So it's like, it's from one end to the other. So I'm like, okay, I got to walk, which I don't mind walking. So, but still I was like that. I literally went all the way to the other side, did not do what I meant to do because I got distracted by some thought and walked away. So that does happen. So if you're like that, look, I get it. It's hard sometimes for you, but I promise it's a superpower. It's one of the reasons I'm so good at ministry and I can focus on a lot of different areas. We're going to talk about that today, about how you can build a ministry, and that actually has been a superpower of mine towards building that. So don't worry about it if you are like that, okay? It's okay. You don't have to be that, but it can be a tool that you use to get a lot of different things done and have a lot of information in your head. But before we get into that topic real quick, I want to give you an update about something really cool that I talked about on Two Dudes in the Bible last time. Last time we were on here, I talked about how my hands were all jacked up at Glory in America. Do you remember that? About every time I reached for my Bible, like I had no strength in my hands. I couldn't turn the Bible. The power of God had hit me so much in my session that I had at Glory in America. I could not physically turn the Bible with my hand. I had to put the mic down and finally use both hands. Amy's excited here because she's the one that informed me that I didn't know what was going on. Okay. So I didn't know. So I'm like, I don't know if the Spirit of the Lord was on that word so much that when I came near the word, and other people were like, we got to get his Bible. And Amy, Pastor Amy, she cornered me on Sunday and said, hey, it wasn't your Bible. And I'm like, well, no. I said, no, it's not the Bible. It's not the physical book. And she's like, no, you don't know what happened. So they straight, here in my language, they straight Jehovah sneakied me. So this is what happened, Justin. This is crazy. So Keisha, who was with us, one of our team members that was traveling with us, and ministering with us. By the way, I take teams everywhere and they minister with me. So if you ever want to be a part of that, be part of our partners program, okay? ffc.church/partners, and you can travel with me and minister with me. And I take people all over the world. So she, occasionally, things have happened in our church, and I say occasionally. I don't have anything to do with this, nor do I pray for it. But occasionally people will hold up their hands and there's oil on their hands, or there's gold dust that shows up on their hands. I never have prayed for it. Don't come at me in the comments. They come up and show me their hands, okay? And if you don't understand that, fine. That's perfectly fine. But I don't pray for that. It's not something we produce, okay? And so, and I'm an investigator. I'll check to see if they have any like glittery makeup on, and if it matches their makeup, if they got anything on. It's like, why is it on your hands? Is it anywhere else? Is it on your face? Like, show me the proof. Like I'm skeptical. But anyways, she was one of those. It's like, I never have anything happen to my hand. They don't work, right? But we're in Glory in America. She looks down and she sees like sparkles all over her hands. And so she goes to like two other people and shows them her hands, and they're like, your hands have gold dust on them. And so she's freaking out, right? Because now she's finally had this encounter. And so she feels the Lord tell her that she needs to come lay hands on my hands and anoint me. But I'm already up on stage because the host, Brett Watson, he likes us speakers to have a spot on stage where we sit behind the speaker and go, amen, yeah, right? And he knows I'm like, I don't like being back here because like if I have to scratch or I'm contemplating something, right? I'm like, and it looks like I'm disagreeing with the speaker. So you're always like,
did I get all my protein in today?
Yeah. And it's like, right. That is a thought I have. And I'll be calculating like this. 17. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I'm on camera. Right. So like, but I'm already up there. I'm on the stage, you know, I'm there. And so she chickens out. She's like, I don't want to go up there. I don't want to interrupt him back there and say, I need to pray for you. And so she's like, so she chickens out. So she asked the Lord, can I give it to Amy, Pastor Amy, and he give it to her? Can I transfer this to her? And she's like, I'm going to do it. So she goes over, lays hands on Pastor Amy's hands and prays and releases whatever she's carrying on her for me. And then Pastor Amy, I did not know this, but right before I spoke, Pastor Amy comes up to hand me my books and my shirts, my merch stuff, so I could show everyone and tell everyone about the stuff that our merch table and what we have, the books and the oil and the shirts. And when she does it, she touches my hand and prays and releases it. I didn't know she did that. Wasn't even aware she touched my hand, but when she gave me my stuff, she made sure to touch my hand and release something to me. So when I went to preach a few seconds later, my hands didn't work. And I had no clue they had purposely laid hands on my hands to release something specific over me. Right? Yeah, that's a common phrase that happens in my church. If I'm standing around, they're like, fix your face. And I'm like, I don't know what face I was making. I'll make weird faces as I think. And people will come by and ask me if I'm mad. And I'm like, I'm just trying to remember if I turned the air conditioner on.
People always ask me, are you just always tired? I'm like, I mean, you could kind of call it that. I'm just hanging out in the spirit.
It's that one. Hey, bro.
You know,
I take it as chill.
I'll just say
in a different world, they think something different.
Yes, I was going to say in my unredeemed state, they called it something else.
They called it something not tired.
And now I have to tell people it is 9 a.m.
Hey, Justin. Hi. Hi.
Now I have to say it's only 9 o'clock in the morning.
It's only 9 o'clock in the morning. This is not that. This is that which the prophet Joel spoke. In your old age, you will look like you're dreaming.
Really, I'm just resting my eyes.
That's the dad conversation right there. I'm not tired. I'm just resting my eyes. All right, so in that crazy cool, right?
That's wild.
So they touch my hands, and I love stories like that. Why? Because you can't make them up. You can't program them. It couldn't have been an emotional reaction by me. It couldn't be, I thought that I got something, so I mentally tricked myself. There can't be any of that. I was unaware that they had done anything, and they did not make it clear. So they got to watch their prayers have an immediate impact on me. And that's rare that I have a supernatural response to someone else praying for me. It doesn't happen often for me. So that's very rare. And so I just thought that was a crazy story. So I just wanted to share that and update awesome. Since last time. But what we want to talk about today is a little bit differently. What we really want to jump into for a few minutes is both Justin and I have the unique privilege of starting stuff from scratch with no clue what we're doing. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing of going, hey, how do we begin ministries? How do we effectively grow a ministry from nothing to something with no real resources, with not with a program, not with a kit, not with a organization, right? Where you're, like there's a lot of church planting organizations out there that will, take you through the process, or you can join a network, so to speak. And they have all these sophisticated, like we've planted, 5,000 churches. Just come grab onto our pre-done templates, right? There is that, which is super helpful. Yeah, it's
Very
super helpful. Super helpful. I haven't just visited Pakistan a few years ago. I visit every year, so I'll be back in November. Hallelujah. Yeah, maybe you didn't watch the news where I was sitting with the Speaker of Parliament just 6 months ago. I was yeah, go look that up. But when we started the ministry, we started it from nothing. It was a Bible study in our house. And so I give some wisdom to pastors. I've spent a lot of time, it's been a lot of our conversations like, hey, how should I do this? What should we do about starting ministries? And so one of the things I've always said, and then I'll let Justin jump off into his advice. But one of the things I've always said when pastors come to me and said, hey, what's the one thing I can do in the natural? Look, I got lots of supernatural advice for you on how to handle the supernatural side. What doesn't happen often is you get the natural advice that you need that's effective. And so one of the things I've said, if I want to give you the number one tip for what you can do if you're starting a church, okay, or starting any ministry, or starting a business for that matter, okay? This applies to pretty much anything you start from the ground up. You will be stunted waiting on other people to know what to do. Okay, it will stunt you. It will delay you. That is not a God delay. That's a you delay, because you are not prepared for the promise. Okay, if you need to be prepared for the promise, if God calls you to fight giants, you better know how to battle. Like you better know how to swing a sword. You should not wait until you get to the fight to learn how to fight. That should not be the day you learn how to swing a sword. Oh, this sword is pretty heavy. I didn't think it'd be this heavy, but I'm sure it'll all work out. God's for us, right? You need to be prepared ahead of time. And so what I tell people is this, they go, how do I recruit tech guys that can figure out how to go live? No. In my church, when I started, someone said, what's the best natural advice you can give me? I said this: know how to do everything yourself. What? That's where the ADD kicks in, because I can learn everything and then be bored and move on. Okay. And so it's like, know how to run the camera, know how the sound system works, know how the lights go, know how everything works, learn how to run the sound, then train somebody who doesn't know how to do it. You will take years to get your audio onto live stream because an expert hasn't showed up to do it for you. And so you just don't do it. You can pause, learn how to do it, and then say, you over here, come here. Let me show you how I did this. Now you push the buttons from now on. And so I never delayed anything. We went live. We had great audio. We hung lights. I know where every cable, button, switch, I did it all myself in the beginning. Now we have a full tech team, and I go in there, I'm like, what have you guys done? You've changed everything. I don't know how to run this. Because I have capable people that in the beginning, I trained where the button was. Let me give you a great example of stunting someone's growth and what I did that was bad. I had a great sound guy several years ago. I had a great sound guy, ran sound great, mixed everything really good, EQ'd everything, understood highs and lows, like knew what he was doing on the soundboard. I went out of town. It was the first time I went out of town. I checked the live stream. There's no audio. Okay? There's no audio. And I'm like, hey, the live stream audio is not working. They're like, no, the PA is not working. They told me after the service, they had no sound system. You want to know why? The audio guy, our audio guy, and the rest of our leaders knew how to run the soundboard and all of the sound equipment. They didn't know where the power button was.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't know where the master power button was. They were switching like crazy. Every Sunday morning I came in, turned on the ACs, turned on the sound system, so the sound booth, so everything was on and powered on, and they came in and run it. I would come in and switch everything on, like turn on the lights in the church, turn on the AC, turn on the sound booth power, main power. They didn't know where the master power was. I had never showed them. There was no PA. Oh, there's a sermon in that about knowing where your source comes from, right? Okay. So, but it was one of the best things because they felt so like helpless. Like they're like that was the worst feeling ever, scrambling around, freaking out. We don't have a PA. And they said, we will never do that again. We will learn everything in this booth. There will be nothing we wait on you for. But because I did not train them fully and I kept control of that, they didn't know how to do everything. So I tell people, learn everything, learn how to do all of it, and you will never wait on someone capable. You'll just wait on someone willing. And you train them and then release it to them and let them run it.
Yep. And that's been wonderful for us too, because, we've started in our house and we've been in our house. We've gone through growing, shrinking, growing again, but growing with people who can lead and stuff like that. And when I say lead, most of these people are super hungry people for the Lord, but I don't know if they've never stepped into leadership or just that people never had them on their leadership teams. But I when I saw them, I went, "You're amazing. You love the Lord. You minister well. Just on your own." And so it's like, I love taking them and handing them the reins on things. But the thing is that even in our own home, the thing is that when people would come to our house, then like Ellie and I pretty much have most things done. Well, since we've had to do some events outside of our home because there were more people attending than could be in our home, that allowed our team to truly be a team. Like we've handed out outreach to them and things like that, but in these events, they had to help set up and they had to help tear down. They had to help really be security and do things like that because it's not just in our house where we have everything already put together.
Yeah, you got to learn how to put it together.
And so it's actually been in the need to expand that our leadership team has come along and actually even said that they feel more like a unit because they have to hurry up and get this set up and then hurry up and get it torn down because we've got to be out of this venue by such a time or whatever, And so, but
your lack of knowing every area of ministry will stunt them because now you can't go help them and tell them how to tear that down or how to put that away or how to put that up or plug it in, right? Like when you can train them and get it where they don't feel helpless. It's really important. Let me give you a business story from that when I used to run business about how that applies to business. I used to own a healthcare company and I hired a tech. And I remember the first tech I had that I had brought in there, I needed him to write some code in PHP. I'm talking over people's head. That's okay, but I understand what I'm saying. And I said, I need you to write, we're building our own software to run our code, to track our sales commissions and all of that. And I wanted him to write that. And he looked at it and he says, okay, this will take me about a month to get this module working on PHP. And I said, no, that's 2 days of coding. That's 2 days of coding. I don't code, but I understand it enough to know that's 2 days. So when I brought in another coder, it took him 2 days. And I said, I said, he's telling me a month. And he goes, man, that's a couple of days at best. And I said, that's what I said. I understood enough to know if they were doing their job correctly and not be snowed into paying someone for a month thousands of dollars that should have only been hundreds of dollars because they were, he doesn't know, so let me tell him it'll take a month and I can just work 2 days out of the month on this. No, I understand every area of my company. And I know if you're doing your job efficiently because I don't have to be able to be as good as you at it. I just need to understand it enough to hold you accountable to it and know what's happening. And so at some point, I can't be as good, but I cannot take the reins off. That's where bloating and bureaucracy come in. Mm-hmm. And it happens in churches too. Mm-hmm. It absolutely happens in churches too. And so whether it's business or church, the best thing you can do to start anything is to know every step yourself, find qualified or find committed people and then qualify them.
Yeah.
Right. See, he equips the called. No, he equips the committed.
Yeah, come on.
Many are called, but few are chosen. The difference is their commitment in the calling and saying the giving their yes, and then God will equip the committed, not just the called.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what Andrew said in the comments there, the about we put ourselves in holding, waiting for God to send people, and that we try to do big church before getting efficient at small intimate church, and that's what you're talking about, and what I'm talking about is the whole fact of that's what it means. Do not despise the days of small beginnings. Because otherwise, like, hey, there's just this big machine that runs, but I have no idea how to do any of it except for this tiny little piece. So then how are you able to actually tell people, how are you able to direct people on what should be going on? Or when there's a problem, how are you able to help troubleshoot if you don't know how things are done? And so it's so much easier in the long run. It's actually easier to do the days of small beginnings. It in the long run. It feels hard in the time, but in the long run, it's way easier.
We want to jump past the small beginnings, and we don't realize those are the places where we learn the most, we grow the most, and we're able to sustain growth. The number one reason why businesses go out of business? Do you know the number one reason? It's not for lack of business. It's growing too quickly, past what they're able to manage, because they grow outside and they don't know how to manage everything. They don't know how everything runs. They don't have the skill set for the next level. And so it's very important to know how to run everything at your level, but it's also important to have a vision of what's next and to prepare for a promise. So most businesses are not prepared for success. They want success, but they're not ready for success. Most ministries are not ready for success. Why is my church staying small? Because you have a small leader mindset. Mm-hmm. Because if it gets big, it'll close. Mm-hmm. Right? It'll fall apart. And so we have to make sure that we're preparing for growth, right? I want 1,000 people to show up. Are you prepared to handle 1,000 people walking through the door? No, we would be absolutely overwhelmed. We don't have a parking lot team, and we don't have a greeting team for that. And we don't have, we don't have enough visitor cards for 1,000 visitors to walk through the door. We'd be out of visitor. Like, you're not ready for that.
And let me throw this out. There are a lot of people who are even ready for that, and the truth is that they end up being in a church they don't really want to be in because they didn't have anything set up to really disciple people. They didn't have anything set up to say, hey, this is our culture, right? You've got to have leaders that can actually walk with people and disciple people, and that are able to pass on the same DNA as what leadership is. It's like we all carry the same DNA. We don't do it all the same way, but we carry the same DNA. And without that, I mean, you can be great at the program side of things. We've got the parking lot greeters, and we've got the, we've got the coffee shop thing down, whatever. You can have all the cool stuff down, but if you don't have people who can disciple and walk with people, then the culture starts falling apart, and it becomes a place where even a lot of times the leaders don't want to be there that much because they go, oh, I just hate dealing with so-and-so. And it's like, man, I want leaders that go, man, it's not fun dealing with so-and-so, but I'm honored that I get to walk beside them. And, I'm honored that the Lord is letting me walk with them through this time of their life, or something like that. It's like, if you don't have leaders who want to do that, that culture is going to get tough.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And that's one of the things, is setting the right culture that draws people into community inside of your church is going to be vital to seeing anything succeed that you build, is to know your culture and be able to cast that vision for your culture, and really promote people why they should follow you. If you don't have a good reason for them to follow you, then they're just going to wander from place to place. They're going to wander back and forth with whatever is serving their immediate need.
Yeah.
Rather than them serving the needs of their community, they're going to serve their immediate need.
Like there are a couple of things that I know what to expect when I step into FFC every time. I know that, first off, everybody expects the supernatural to be happening. I also know that they all have sound advice. Like, a lot of them have sound advice. It is a large percentage of your people have sound advice to give people. So it's not all just like, hey, let me prophesy words over you, and if they're fun sounding, then it must be a good prophecy. Like, they actually know how to weigh things, is what I'm saying. They know how
we
to
have
weigh
wisdom
things.
and discernment. Yeah, you can
Yes.
say we have a team of people that are wise, right? And so it
Yes.
shows the culture that we value wisdom, not just the supernatural, but wisdom.
Yes, and then Christopher has to throw out that, yes, Ellie will be laughing. Anytime she's there, she will be laughing.
We all know what to expect when the heckles arrive. The heckles will get the chuckles. That's what happens.
I'm just going to say there may or may not be more costumes that have been ordered.
Oh, we're going to have so many costumes. Ellie and her costumes. That's fantastic. I'm excited. I'm excited. You know, I'm acting like, oh my gosh, but really I'm super excited.
but
If she comes out in a giant pizza.
I'm like Amazon. I'm like, what is this?
Honey, why are you spending so much money on Amazon? It's important. What did you buy? You're right. It is important. Okay, I take it back. You're right. I see that. I see that now.
But another thing I'm going to say is that I know that when I step into FFC, there are not that many people that are there to just sit around. People are active in your church. Like, and that's incredible to see. People are active.
We will. Yeah. Please give Chris a heads up so he's ready to film.
I will.
See, there's an example of active. He's proactive. He's like, no, we're going to need to film that. I'm going to need to make that into a video. It's going to be shown. It's going to go viral.
You know,
Right?
and here's the biggest thing that I would actually tell people. If you're wanting to start a ministry, I tell people this. We are all called to minister and serve. Okay, so we're all called to minister and serve. Do you know where a ministry comes involved? When the necessity of my serving becomes too much for me to do. When the demand on what I do to serve becomes too much for me, I need there to be a ministry. I need there to be more people coming alongside of me. We need to be like turning this into something. And so that's the way that I've gauged it. But the truth is that it comes down to serving. How are you serving? That's what a ministry is. It's about serving. And so, like, the thing that actually solidifies somebody like you, Ren, and I'm just going to go out on it and say, like, I have zero doubts. I have zero doubts about calling myself a minister. Like, when people want to judge you or criticize you, I go, look, man, I know where my heart is. I know how many people I serve. I know how much I think about them. I know how much I'm putting in for them financially, time-wise, all that kind of stuff. I know what I'm doing. That there is zero question in my heart about, am I really a minister? But that's what ministry is. And so if you're going to start a ministry, my thing is stay focused on, like, what has God given me to serve people with, and who am I serving?
Yes. When I started my church, literally, I told the Lord, I said, why would I start a church when I can walk to 4 from my house? And every one of them would be grateful for the 15 people that are coming to my house on Sunday morning Bible study right now. We were trying to find somewhere to go together because our church had closed that I was the music pastor at. It had closed. And so 15 of us are trying to find somewhere to go. And the Lord, they're talking about starting a church. And I said, why would I start a church when I can walk to 4 from my house? And every one of those churches would be grateful for 15 new people. And the Lord said, because you can reach people they can't, and I need you to go get them. And that's when we developed and realized we're a crack ministry. We're finding the people that slip through the cracks, right? That don't fit there. And God showed me who it was that we were called to serve and how they weren't being served and how I could give them. And what Jesus basically has done is he has given me the fishermen. He's given me the Peters and the Andrews, right? He's given me those people that were overlooked by the Pharisees, right? They weren't taken, they weren't the summa cum laudes of the church. And see that they had been overlooked, but they were actually the ones that carried something for the world. And so God put me in a place where I knew that I was called to raise up misfits and turn them into a messenger, right? That
Yeah.
they were going to change the world, and other people had not seen their greatness, what they carried in their life. And so I know who I'm called to serve. I know what I attract. I know what I bring in. And so when you say, when you come in, these people have wisdom. These people, they have something valuable to share. They were rejects and misfits everywhere else. But I saw the diamond underneath, right? I saw the gold buried in the dirt. And that was so I knew what my calling is. I'm going to turn these people into something. You know, Peter, the Pharisees, when he went and he healed the man, right? And they bring him before the Sanhedrin after a shadow heals the man. Or silver and gold I have none, but what I have I freely give. And he heals the lame man. They go in and they listen to Peter defend the faith. And their statement is this is an uneducated man.
Yeah.
This dumb, poor fisherman, right? This is an uneducated man, but listen to what he says. It's clear he's been with Jesus. So all of a sudden they're like, this guy, he was not raised by a rabbi. He was not picked by a rabbi. He's just a fisherman. Why does he talk like he's some kind of theologian now? Like, where did all this wisdom come from? It's obvious by the way he talks compared to his background that he has been with Jesus. And so the question is for me, what I'm called to do is take people from their background and make it obvious they are with Jesus. And all of a sudden you're going, you have so much wisdom. That was not always, man, you must have been born with a high IQ. You must have been born with did you get a degree? Do you have a PhD? I've been with Jesus. My pastor led me to Jesus, and he showed me how to grow that way. And so that's my niche, right? That's my niche.
Yeah.
That's my thing that God has got. Everyone, niche. You remember when we were a kid, it was niche, right?
Yes. Yep.
When I was a kid, it was a niche. And I was like, we got to have a niche. When did we get so like proper? Niche.
It's French, you know.
It's French. Oh, French.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I was talking to someone the other day that you know they're kind of they would tell you, I keep dipping my toe in with God, and then I keep kind of backing out a little bit and then going in with God, and I'm talking to this person. I'm like, listen, you need to understand how much you know very well how much God has done in your life, and you know what you're doing in life, and they do basically like social work style stuff, and but they came out of the places where they needed social work, like where they had been in trouble with the state and all this kind of stuff for a long time, and so they do a lot of this case management stuff and whatever. And so I was walking them through how Dr. Mike Hutchins does, you know, Isaiah 61 verses 1-3 is like his main thing, right? The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me to preach good news to the poor. And it goes down talking about the brokenhearted and how he's here to bind them up and everything, right? And I got to this point, I was reciting this to her, and I said, I got to all who mourn in Israel, he will give a crown of beauty for ashes. I said, that's what's happened to you. He took you from ashes and he's given you a crown of beauty. Like, look where you are now and how many people you help now. Like, he took your ashes and gave you a crown of beauty. A joyous blessing instead of mourning. Look at the blessings you have and the blessings that are upon you. A festive praise instead of despair. But then there's this. In their righteousness, they will be like great oaks that the Lord has planted for his own glory. I told her, I said, look, it is the ones who have a testimony that came out of ashes and now have a crown of glory. They have a testimony that they become righteous oaks that he has planted, and they're immovable. And she's like, oh my goodness, that is me. And I was like, that is you. You just need to give your yes completely to Jesus, because you're doing all the work. You're doing all the stuff. You love people very well, but you just need to actually stay in it with Jesus and believe that he actually has that for you, you know, and that he's given that to you.
So as a leader, we might say that who you raise up will be rooted.
Yeah. Yes. That's what it is. It's like, it's taking those who they've been in the ashes and they have a testimony now, and it's like going, hey, you have actually been called to be an oak of righteousness. because you know where you came from and you know the troubles that people like you are going through. You know what they feel like and what they're thinking. And so you know how to help them too.
Right. And one of the most dangerous places to be as a leader is to be at the place where you forget what you came out of. Forget where you came from. Forget where you once were. What happens is we get super Christian and we get super Christianese, and we forget that other people don't even understand our language. Okay, a lot of times, want to start a church, make sure that you're not talking above people's heads, or you're at least explaining what's above their head. But don't forget where you came out of, because what we'll do is start going, this person, look at them. They're just, week to week falling back in the same old mess. You used to do that too.
But
You used to do that. And I am one of those that I'm real quick to remind them of what they put me through. Don't you for 1 second dismiss
right.
that person because they're difficult. You were the most difficult, and I didn't give up on you. Right. And here's the reality is what I see in ministry a lot of times is one of the things you can't do as a pastor. This is the most important as a pastor. Let me just, and then you can jump on that.
Yeah.
Is this is the most important thing in the pastor is don't forget what hot mess you were in the beginning, because here's what happens is you will start to dismiss people when nobody dismissed you. Okay. And what you will do is you will forget the story. You will forget the story where you came to the one you owed money to, the rich ruler, and he forgave your debt. You pleaded for him to forgive your debt, and you will turn around knowing how much you were forgiven of your dysfunction, knowing how much you were forgiven of your mismanagement of your life. Turn right around and say, hey, what about you? You owe me a debt, and have them thrown in prison. You will judge them and you will convict them for something that you had grace on, and you forget because you go, I would never, because you came out of that hot mess where you are no longer that mess. You would go, I would never do that. No. You used to do that. And you don't have the same grace that was given to you that taught you, I will never repeat that mistake again. And so because you were offered grace, now you have none, because what you've turned from grace, you've turned into legalism. And so there are so many people that I meet that were once so grateful for grace, and now grace is a gate that keeps closed other people from coming through. There is no, and they forget, oh, this person, they're very much, if you're not going to clean up your life, we're not going to be able to have you here. And they do that. And it's like you forgot what you were forgiven of. And so as a leader, you cannot fall into that trap and that lie that somehow you should be surrounded by perfect people. Here's another tip for ministry, and then I'll let them set off, that's based on that, is this. If you don't look around your church and find people struggling with sin, find hot messes, find ignorant Bible people that are ignorant of the Word of God, that you have to explain basics to, you're a dying church. If your entire church is mature, you are not reaching the lost. You are not reaching your community. There should be half and half. You should have half, because here's why half and half is valuable. Because the people that have been there and matured can disciple personally the ones that are new. If everyone in your church knows all the scriptures, you're a dying church. You're a closed off wall, and you have sealed yourself into a tomb as you slowly die to get to heaven.
I always say, man, if you weren't having messy people come into your place, then why have teachers and pastors that are supposed to be discipling people? Like, why do you need them, right? Put
it even differently. If you don't have messy people, you're not birthing any babies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Babies are messy.
That's absolutely true. Because the thing is
they will poop on you.
They will and puke and right. And they will ask you for food at inconvenient times.
Yeah, you're gonna have people come in and vomit all over you their junk, and want you to feed them when you're tired.
100%. That's so good. That's so good. Because the thing is I'm always like, who are you teaching? You've taught all these people have been with you for like 20 years. So you're teaching, are you just regurgitating the same teachings and you're all like sitting around going, amen, amen. Yep. We all know this. Amen. Like you're teaching the same stuff over and over.
Do you know what the worst compliment I get is? Like a gut punch to me is as a pastor? When someone walks up to me after service and says, thanks, pastor, for that message. That was a good refresher. We need to be reminded of that sometimes. I'm like, get out of my face with your refresher business.
Well, because
it's basically like, I don't know if you know this. You said it well, but I know all that.
I knew it. I knew it. I'm glad I heard it again. Well, it's that proverb about where there are no oxen, the stable is clean, but a harvest comes at the strength of an ox. And it's like, I need there to be people who create a mess for us. Those are my evangelists, right? I need people who create a mess.
Not just say that. I'm looking for people that will make a mess in my church.
But what I'm saying is, they do a few things that cause a mess in a great way. One is that they bring in people who are messes, and number two, they keep the people who are spick and span. They keep throwing out to them hey, where are you on our outreach? Hey, and stuff like that. It's like,
say that again. Say that again. You're all cleaned up, but you don't know how to get down in the dirt.
Yeah.
Right? Because, here's the thing. Why is it that you don't see me on Sunday morning wearing suits and ties all the time? Why am I not over it? Sometimes I dress up, and I do on occasion and stuff, and I like to wear a blazer. But how come it is that I don't wear my expensive suit every Sunday morning? Because I worship on my face a lot of times. Right? And if I look at the ground and say, I can't lay down on this ground because I might dirty up my suit and I'll have to send it to the dry cleaner. And if my clothes, if my cleaned up appearance stops me from worshiping my God, I have picked the wrong thing to value.
Come on.
There is a reason why every time someone in the Bible wanted to get close to Jesus, they didn't put on their suit and tie. I've heard that argument my whole life. It's like a date with Jesus. You wouldn't go on a date like that, right? You would wear your Sunday best. You would wear your best for a date with Jesus. And there's nothing wrong with that. But here's what I found in the Bible. Anytime someone went to the next level in their relationship with God and they wanted to get serious about their relationship with God and they said, that's it, I'm breaking every barrier and I'm going to another level and I'm crying out to the Lord and I expect an encounter, they took off the fancy clothes, they put on potato sacks and covered themselves with ashes. They downgraded their clothing so they could fall on their face. You have valued the wrong thing. There's nothing wrong with dressing up, but you have valued the wrong thing. There is no value in that.
Yeah.
The only value of dressing up is so that people take you seriously. So when you preach, you're taken seriously. There's nothing wrong with that. But I better be willing to ruin my suit by falling on my face and putting holes. There should be some suits. If I'm wearing suits every morning, I should get up on Sunday morning and there should be holes in my knees.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone would say, why does he have holes in his knees on a suit? Because the man doesn't get off his knees in worship. That's genuine. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not criticizing you if you wear a suit. I'm just saying make sure what your value is.
Who was it? James that they called old camel knees or something like that? I can't remember. That because he had calluses on his knees from kneeling and praying so much. I can't remember. But even going back to that whole stable scenario, it's oxen that bring in the harvest, but they also make a mess. They make a mess. But here's the thing, you pastors and teachers, if there's no mess, I don't need stable hands. I don't need stable hands if there's no mess.
Come on. Did you hear what he just said? If there's, I had an assistant that worked for me at one point. She got super frustrated at me because I never remember where I'm going and what I'm supposed to be doing and what day it is and what time it was. And she's like, "Ooh, it's so frustrating that you don't remember any of the stuff you're supposed to do." And I stopped her and I said, "Hey, I need you to understand something. If I was capable of just remembering my whole schedule and keeping up with it, you wouldn't have a job."
Yeah.
I said, "What would I need you to assist me in? What would I need someone to handle that for me for?" I said, if I was able to remember all that and do all that capably, you would have no place to serve. You want me to be like you instead of need you.
Oh, come on. Crystal, it's not me that he's talking.
No, it's not. It's not Crystal. But is it? No, Crystal's like, no, I'm like him.
And it's something practical, with this, and actually we had to remember this in worship this week, because this is something I talk about quite a bit with worship, is I need to remember who I'm in front of. Because the truth is if I go into deep throne room songs with people who are brand new, or if it's an evangelism outreach type thing and I'm playing worship for that, if I'm doing things that are meant to pull in the lost, a lot of times they're needing to hear about the love of God. They're not needing to hear about the throne room. They're needing
know your audience.
Yeah, you need to know where they are. And the thing is you know what? The mature bride actually likes hearing about the throne room. They're like, just talk to me about Jesus. Just get me like feeling like I'm in the presence, right? But
Create an atmosphere for a throne room encounter. That's what they're looking for.
Yes, but that brand new Christian doesn't have a clue what you're talking about a lot of the time.
Yes, there's probably on the podcast when we said that, they went, I don't know what you mean, throne room experience. That sounds, they don't even get what I mean by that. And that's okay.
And then there's where I'd say the people who they've learned to be a servant, and I love devotional songs. So like, Lord, I give you my heart, I give you my soul, like that kind of stuff.
Live for you alone.
I'll tell you, I watch more people because we don't do a lot of devotional songs anymore. There aren't a lot of devotional songs anymore. They're all either love
Sir,
Jesus.
speak for yourself. I do them. You need to do them more.
I love doing them. But we'll go
as a
places.
church. Yes,
We'll go places. Yes.
they don't do them a lot. Yeah,
we'll go places, and if we start singing "This Is My Desire," my goodness, people break down crying like crazy, because there's that piece in us that says, I want to know I'm devoted to the Lord too.
yeah.
I want to know I'm in this. And
Yeah, well,
but go ahead.
So know your audience. You have to know what you're going, to make that point. I'm not necessarily going to preach a simple salvation message to a room full of pastors.
Yes.
Although maybe depending on what pastors, I might have to, that might be the better, but that would not be when I preach that message, right? Like, and I'm not going to stand at Pakistan to 100,000 people that have come, Muslims, to hear about the gospel and talk to them about pastoral. I'm not going to give the message we're giving today about building a church to those 100,000 that have never heard the gospel. Like, I need to know, where are they? See, because when I say know your audience, what that means is, where are you in the journey of your relationship with God? Where can I meet you in that journey? And what is your next step? It doesn't do any good if I tell you how to climb a mountain you're still a mile from. You need to know how to get the mile. You need to know how to get where you're at. Do I make a left turn or a right turn to get where I'm going? Well, once you get there, you're going to go into the city and make a left at the first. I'm not there. I don't know. I'm at a fork and I need to know to go left or go right. And you're talking to me about when I get there.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get there, and you're ahead of me. And so it's know your audiences, know what step they're on, and speak to them there. So as a leader, someone who's building something, know where your people are. I had that happen when we first had a church. We had a Wednesday night, and we were doing very simple stuff. And people that were more mature got very frustrated. Why is it so simple? And why are you talking so simple? Because you'll talk over these ones' heads. I remember, here's one a good example. One of the husbands of an elder at our church comes up to me, and it was Rabbi Shoshana, and her husband came up to me, and he goes, this is very early in our church, and he goes, you're not a shepherd, right? Like, you're not a pastor, like a shepherd pastor. He goes, you're not a shepherd, right? And I went, mm-hmm. And he goes, you're an apostle, like you're apostolic. I don't call myself anything, but this is what he's saying, right? And I went, shh. Mm-hmm. And he goes, so why do you call yourself a pastor? Why don't you call yourself an apostle? I said, a couple of reasons. I said, one, we're a new church, and a lot of these people are unchurched. They don't know what that word means. And if I go, I'm apostle, they'll go, They know what the word pastor means. That's a minister in general to them.
Not only that, they might tell somebody that has been in church a while about and then that person goes, oh, there are no apostles anymore. That guy's a heretic. Leave. And then they leave.
And you don't know. They don't know anything, so they don't know. And they're like, oh no, I don't want to. I don't. Right. And so I'm like, they don't know what that word means. And I
Yeah.
said, they wouldn't get the difference anyways. You're mature, you get it. Just, I use pastor as a general term, meaning minister. I'm not a shepherd, a natural shepherd, but I am, so, and he went, oh, I get it. And I'm like, if I go by these things, I'm going to lose them. They're not ready for that step yet. And so it's important we know what step they're on, know your audience, know where they're at in their journey so you can take them to the next step. If you want to be successful, don't be talking to them 10 levels ahead that they're not at. They won't get there.
And again, what does all this come down to? It all comes down to what we said at the beginning. It's about serving. It's about how am I serving these people? How am I serving this person? And so it's like you have evangelists that bring people in the door, and they get other people to get people to come in the door and all that kind of stuff, right? They stir the church. Ben does a fantastic job of stirring the church of FFC. He does a great job of stirring them to, hey, get people in the door, and not only get people in the door, who's going to connect with them once they're in there. And so it's like, you've got to have people that are willing to do that, but also people who are willing to say, hey, so let's walk through where you're at right now and what you're going through. But then it's like, the people who are, again, more mature, where I am right now, since we're talking about church planting and stuff like that a lot of times, right now I have to answer a lot of people with, what, at some point, the thing that you love will become an all the time thing for us. We will do that, like right now we're doing outreach because it's nice outside, right? But in the winter time, we don't, because it's cold out.
Because you're in South Dakota.
Yeah. And
I remember when
outside.
you were like, hey, I want you to come up here and do a conference. And I'm like, cool. When? February. You're not my friend. I literally told him, I said, are we friends? No, I'm not coming to South Dakota in February.
And then you did. No,
I didn't come February. You moved it to March.
Oh,
and there was still snow.
There was still snow because that year
and I'm
was
like,
horrible.
I have been duped. I was like, oh, it's springtime. It'll be fine. It's not fine up there.
No.
It's not fine. Springtime just means that the snow is compacted harder.
It's a misnomer, really, because there's no springiness. It is hard snow. It is hard snow.
Terry makes a great point. He said South Dakota is basically like North Dakota. It's just a liar. South. It must be warm in the South. Birds fly to the South. They're alive. There's nothing South about it. It's just less North Dakota. That's what. There's North Dakota and less North Dakota.
Less North Dakota.
I told Justin when he first told me he moved to South Dakota, I was like, who moves to South Dakota? Okay, first of all, Sioux Falls is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And the summer and the spring and stuff is gorgeous. But I said, who moves to South Dakota? No one moves to South Dakota. You know how you end up in South Dakota? You're driving somewhere else and your car breaks down as you go through. And it's so cold, you have to build a shelter around your car to survive because there's no one there to fix it. No one lives there. And so all of a sudden you have a house and a car and you're in the garage you built around it. And then you live in South Dakota because there's nobody to fix it.
I guess we're here now.
I guess we're here now. This is where we live because we got stuck with a broken down car. That's how South Dakota got populated.
Chris nailed that misnomer.
Misnomer.
Misnomer. Man, I can't even. Oh, but like where were we going?
That was a good rabbit trail. I don't care.
That was a great rabbit trail. But it's like at some point, because it's like, well, we have malls. You can go to the mall during the winter, and there are people there during the winter. And it's like, this is true. You can. So you can go do outreach in the winter in different ways. But what I said was, at this point, though, we are small enough. We don't have the people. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the time. We don't have the resources to always be doing outreach as a program and always be doing discipleship as a program. So what we do is we use the summer, the nicer months to go out and do outreach, and we use the less nicer months, the horrible months, we use to build identity, DNA, unity among our group, so that
And build fires.
And build fires. Oh man.
That's when you fan the flames of revival.
That's it.
Because that's when you need them the most. During the winter months, we're just going to spend time stoking and making sure we maintain the fire of revival. In the summer, we will take the fire out. We will go out, right? But we need the big flame concentrated here at the church.
It's like, everybody get dancing around. The heater went out. Like, right. we need
get moving.
Get moving. Get this place warm.
Get moving. You giant battery.
But it's like, as you're planting, you have to make decisions. Yeah. You have to make decisions. What's important right now? What's a priority? How do I serve and I'll just tell you this. The way that I look at what I do is my main job is to serve the people who have been faithful to coming, and giving them room to move and minister, so that they grow as ministers. Yeah. So that they get, it's like, what do you need in order to do that better? So again, like Mikhail is our big evangelist. It's like, okay, man, so what do you need to go out more? What do you need to so that when you're out by yourself, what do you need? Hey, are you bringing those people back? It's giving some direction to like, hey, like, let's find a way so that you can actually connect them to us a lot better. Right.
What do you need? But not just what do you need, but what are you good at? Finding the unique character of what someone else is good at. It's like, what is it your unique DNA offers? What is a skill here? You know what I find in a lot of ministries is that a lot of times there are people that come into our church that were completely rejected somewhere else, and that place did not see any value in what they carry. Whereas I'll see the uniqueness that they have, or things that other people might have saw as a deficit, I see as opportunity, right? I don't see it as a deficit. I see it as an advantage. Like, people will try to pray for my ADD brain. We talk about this, right? And I'll go, yeah, I have ADD brain. They're like, don't claim that. I'm like, what do you mean? Don't claim that. It's my superpower. They want to die. I don't think it's a disorder. I think it's a superpower. And they'll go, I'll pray for that. Don't you dare. Because I understand the value of it, and I use it to my advantage. And a lot of you guys just, you need to recognize, you need to see people's value. Even if the world has put no value on it, the kingdom has a value for it. And you might not understand it, but I'm telling you, God has a value for the things that other people have said were valueless. Let me give you just one small little example. Okay, for some of you guys out there, you're a little bit insecure about your heavy setness. Okay, we got some guys. You got some guys on here, you're a little bit heavy set and you really feel. No, the problem might be that you're just in the wrong environment. You're down south where it's warm, but up north where Justin is, you're a hot commodity. Ooh, that guy can keep me warm in the winter. I want that one. There's a man who can keep me warm in the winter. See, it just depends on the right environment. You're in the wrong environment. Look at you, skinny. I'll freeze to death with you. Move on.
People will tell you. So about a year ago, we started doing. It can't even be a year. But we started doing.
Chris is like, we're moving up north.
We started doing our fire nights, right? Which are basically like, come in, let's eat together, let's worship, and let's let the Holy Spirit go wherever he wants to go. And so I actually used those.
I'm sorry. I'm just still laughing. Things are rolling through my head. I'm just thinking about telling people, it's like, no, you're not California ready. You're Minnesota ready. Like, you're just Minnesota ready. It's not a dad bod. That's a Minnesota bod. Oh, you a Canada bod. He's got to find where you belong.
Goodness. Fat boy territories. It's the father figure.
I'm sorry. You're like, I'm trying to make a point.
But the thing is, I would use those times to start pinpointing, oh, that's what that person always has a scripture on hand. They always are digging into the scriptures. And so when we start rolling and I say, hey, who's got something? I know these 2 or 3 people will have a scripture. I know those 2 or 3 people will have a word. I know that person's going to have a spontaneous song to sing. You know what? That person always mentions how they notice, like, if we need help with the dishes or whatever afterwards, and cleaning up. That person always mentions, the kids stuff. That person always mentions strategic stuff, like, hey, we could organize this slightly better, and so I intentionally started using that just to see what are people's giftings. That, Mikhail will always get up and give these very bold words, and give bold words for reaching the lost. Okay, evangelist, and so it's like, it's pulling it out. And the funny part is then when I started talking to them, hey, we're going to have a leadership gathering to see who's interested in being part of leadership. And when we did that, and we started talking about leadership, it was interesting how many people were like, oh man, I've never been part of leadership. I don't know. And I'm like, all I'm really asking you to do is do what you've already been doing. I'm just actually asking, would you commit to it for a time?
Will you commit to it? And I'm acknowledging it.
Yes. I'm not trying to get you to do something that I don't already see the Lord doing in your life.
Yes. I'm recognizing it, and I'm positioning it.
Yes.
You're already doing it. Right. Amen. In my church, what's one of my things about leadership is I tell people, force me to position you.
Yeah.
Box me in where I have to position you. Right.
Do you
but
use
it's like,
that term,
they're already
box
doing
me?
it. Well, I mean, they can punch me if they want to. It's not going to end well for them. Maybe for you. But we'll see. One of these days. Justin asks, he says, so when I come, because he's coming for our OSI conference that's coming up in just a few days. So if you want to be equipped in the supernatural, July 7th, we're going to have our OSI conference, Oklahoma Supernatural Intensive, where we train prophecy, hearing, healing, hearing the voice of God, deliverance, all the supernatural elements. We train that. He'll be here for that. And he said, he's coming to lead worship. And he goes, when I come, I said, guess what we're going to do? And he's like, what? Are we going to wrestle? Like, yeah, that was not what I was going with.
You are getting in much better shape than me, though, sir. But I will gladly.
That doesn't mean anything, right? So when you deal with skill over endurance, you just have to win quickly.
This is true.
I learned that when I was wrestling my kids. I was like, I recognize they have more endurance on me, so I need to go hard quickly before I gas out. And they would tap out and then want to go immediately again. And I'm like, I think they're tapping out because they don't care that they lost 8 times in a row. Because if they gas me on the 9th and beat me, that all they say is, I beat you the last time. And then they're done. Yeah. But I beat you the last time. The last time we went at it, hilarious. I won. And I'm like, I see what you're doing.
Something funny though too with interesting funny, not funny, interesting funny, is that they better not. That I can hear his voice. Dean, I can hear his voice. They better not.
Better not mouth off to me. I'll climb you like a spider monkey.
But I had an older gentleman approach me who comes and volunteers at the mission, and he said, "Hey, so I've been hearing some things about your house. Tell me about what's going on." And so I told him, and he goes, "Well, my wife and I have kind of been, we've been considering starting a house church." And my thing is, I don't care if you want to have church in a house, have it in a regular church building, whatever. But he was like, we've been talking about having a house church, but we just don't know how that looks. And he's an older gentleman, and he's like, we just really like a lot of the older songs. We just feel like a lot of the churches that we go to, they have the programs and they have all the stuff, but we just really want to have intimacy with people, but we also want to, there are some older things that we appreciate. And he asked if I would help him with that. And I said, yeah, and he knows my style of stuff, but I am so willing to help him do what he's doing because I know that, I know what you carry. And I know that you have people that want to come and to have that flavor of thing. I am so willing to help you set up your flavor, and you be able to do that.
Yes.
Because there should be more people that go, look, what we want to do is straight dig into some scripture, because like our side, we'll dig into scripture, but we'll prophesy and we'll go off on all sorts of things. But they want to pretty much go straight scripture and older hymns. And they want to do it with people in a very family feel, and so they want to start a house church. I'm like, I am very willing to help you set that up. I am very willing to help you run in that.
One of the best things I've done for my people, I think, is that if you come to our church, you'll go, man, you guys got a lot of like programs and ministries going on that most churches your size don't necessarily have that many, right? Like you have a lot. And it's not because we keep trying to do more things. It's that I want to provide more opportunities for what makes people come alive. And so what I'm looking for is I'm not looking for something else you can do. I'm looking for something you're called to. And so like we have a healing room, for instance, and I had someone come to me and go, I really feel called to pray for sick people and for us to have a healing room. So I provided the space to make sure what she feels called to and what makes her come alive is provided for. And so my job as a leader to help grow my ministry is not just for people to catch my vision and help me with it. It's for me to catch their vision and help them with it inside our church, and to allow more things that make them come alive, and to support what God has called, help them discover their identity, empower them to live out their destiny. That's our slogan, but it's our heart, it's our heartbeat. And to empower them to live out their destiny means I prepare for them to be able to live it out. I don't fit a round peg in a square hole. Like that's not what I'm trying to do. I am trying to create a space for them and say, hey, if this is what you feel led to, let me help support that and come alongside the vision that you have. So if you want people to support the vision of your ministry, your business, whatever, support their vision. When I was in business, I said this, people asked me, so do you want to be a millionaire? You want to make $1 million? Which I did, in the beginning, but it's like, do you want to be a millionaire? And I said, I thought about it and I said, that's not my goal. My goal is not to be a millionaire. My goal is to make millionaires. And they said, why? I said, well, because anybody can get dumb luck and get lucky one time and make $1 million. If you just bought Bitcoin in the very beginning, put $10 in it, you're a millionaire. So, but anybody can dumb luck hit and make $1 million. But only qualified, successful people that are capable can create it in others. Mm-hmm. And so I said this, I said, if I just focus on helping others become a millionaire, I will obviously have made the money that I'm going to make. It will come to me regardless if I can just support them. And so when I transferred into ministry, I took that mentality with me. If I can help other people fulfill the call of God and be successful at what God has called them to, then my own ministry will also be successful. I don't have to worry about it. It'll be a byproduct. Instead of me focused on me, I focus on others. And so as a leader starting something, learn to support other people's vision.
Yeah.
Come alongside other people's vision.
I don't know if you find this as much as I do. And maybe this is because I feel like God trained me. First off, God's shown me a lot in the last week or so. He's been like, Justin, there's a reason why Tom Sawyer, did I tell you about that? About why the picture of Tom Sawyer getting people to paint the fence has stuck in your head over a long period of time.
You mentioned it, but I can't remember.
Okay. I worked at a pizza place for and we would make taco salads and things like that. But I'd constantly find things like the taco salad or whatever that they'd tell me, hey, someone needs this taco salad made. And I'd go, oh, I don't know how to make that. I had worked there for almost 4 years. I knew how to make everything. I just was lazy, right? So, but the Lord goes, Justin, do you not see how even in your unredeemed state, I was building you to be apostolic? Because I was training, I always was building into you how to get other people to do the work, right? It was not about you doing the work, even when it was for selfishness sake in your unredeemed state. But now you just get other people to do the work because you actually take joy in watching people participate on the fun. You could go do it all yourself if you wanted to, but you have way more fun when other people are participating. And so I was always building that into you. But here's something I've noticed with that is that I often don't have visions and ideas of my own. It's just a really weird thing. And something else is that the Lord, we were in a ministry where it just came through leading worship. But I mean, we'd bring in guys like Will Hart. We had revival going on. So like guys like Will Hart and some other big names at that time would come in, and they'd go, I don't even want a fee. I just want to be where I've heard what's going on and I want to be there. And so they'd come in and speak. And so I got to take time and over the years, I got to take time leading behind apostles, time leading behind prophets, behind evangelists, pastors, right? So it's like I got to take time leading behind all these different people. I got to learn their flow, how they liked to make things roll. And I go, that was the Lord driving into me. This is how that office runs. This is what that office like focuses on and things like that. It allowed me to just serve them so that now I can serve them again, right? From a different stance. And but the thing is I often don't have my own vision for things other than how to serve my people better. But aside from that, it's typically my people go, I really want to do this. I have such a burning desire to go do this. And I go, awesome, let's do that. And I jump into that fully. Like my heart is fully in there with doing the outreach, with doing a prophetic or an inner healing ministry. But it's
we had someone that wanted to do a homeless ministry here at our church. Crystal originally wanted to do a homeless ministry, and she says, do you have a heart for that? And I said, you don't understand how it works. I don't have a heart for that. I grew up in LA, everyone begging for change every corner. Like I got kind of hardened to that, right? And so I said, no, I don't have a heart for that. What I have a heart for is you.
Yeah.
And if this makes you come alive, I have a heart to see you come alive. So I have a heart for what makes you come alive. Therefore, I will support a ministry I don't have a heart for because my ministry is having a heart for you.
Yes.
And that's good leadership, and that's how you build something.
Yes. And that's the thing too, is like, we've been seeing more and more people. I mean, we've got college kids coming from towns around here that are coming to our fire nights, and they're going, I've wanted to start this in my town, something like this, but I didn't know that there was this going on. And I was like, I would love to help you start that in your home. And so it's like, I want to pour into that. Again, are all of them going to have different things going on? Yeah, they're all going to have different things. They're different towns. Some are college towns. Others are tiny towns so they're going to look different. How do you evangelize in a tiny town versus a college town? You know what I mean? Or versus a city? Like, how do you do outreach? It's probably going to look different.
Look very different.
And so that's why, like when we were talking at the beginning about how there's a lot of church planting programs and whatever, and they're great. But the thing is that I'm much more interested in coming in and seeing what your exact situation is and helping you troubleshoot and walk you through it.
Right, rather than a generic formula. A lot of times we try to do a generic formula, make it fit different crowds. I went to dinner last night, literally at a restaurant that was a block or less than a block from OU, from OU campus. And we're sitting at this restaurant, and I'm like, dang, there's a whole lot of 20-something-year-olds with less than 5-inch inseam shorts on right now. I'm like, there's a whole lot of thigh in this place, right? Right? Like I just look around and I'm like, okay, if you want to know what was in style, it was like lightweight sweatshirts in the middle of heat, but 5-inch, or 3-inch inseam shorts. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's the in style. I see. But I'm like, and I was thinking about it. I was like, man, this demographic in this restaurant looks very different than what this same restaurant would look like 5 miles away. It wasn't a young man's restaurant, right? But the demographic of the area was all young men. So I'm like, okay, how do you reach them? It looked more like somewhere you would take some middle-aged people for a fancy little lunch, But I was thinking about the idea of how different it would be to minister there, or different would be to build something there versus somewhere else. If you're a block from a college, like it looks different. You can't use the same standard. You couldn't enforce a dress code
Yeah. Yeah.
on those college kids. You would lose your business.
That's true.
Right? They're college kids. They're going to be like, nah, we ain't going there. They have a dress code.
Yeah. Yeah.
They won't even let us show any thigh.
You can if you wear a suit and tie.
Right?
Like,
Suit, tie, and shorts. On a live, no one knows. Right? I got a dress shirt on, but I got shorts on right now. I'm wearing running shorts. They might be Daisy Dukes. I'm not.
The last thing I told you this before we hopped on, but the last thing I would say is people expect fruit so quickly. And if you're planting, the thing you got to understand is that there's often, for almost everything, there is a season in between planting season and harvest season. So you've got spring, summer, fall before you get to harvest. And
here's where it lands, guys. Listen to what he's saying.
I have so many people that'll say things like, well, if you're so great, like you talk about being part of these revivals and all this kind of stuff. If you're so great, how come things just aren't booming already? And I'm like, it doesn't work like that in a place that hasn't had it. If it hasn't had the Spirit, it's not the same thing. There's plowing to do. You know what? I imagine Paul was plowing a lot of the time, man. It looked very different. But it looks different from that versus getting to go when I get to go to places that it's a church like Freedom Fellowship, and they cultivate a hunger for the Lord. So I go in there and it's like, man, I could sing out of the phone book and we'll start like going, oh man, there are angels all around the room. Like
you can harvest in that atmosphere because
Yes.
this place has matured the years to produce fruit. Not every fruit tree fruits the first couple of years.
Yeah.
You can see the tree, but there is no fruit. Oh, you have no fruit. Not yet. There's a difference between the planting, the growing, and the harvesting seasons.
Yes.
They are not months. They are sometimes years apart.
Yes. I will actually say this. I worked in an area for a while that did not appreciate me while I was there. It did not appreciate me a whole lot while I was there. But I saw a lot happen. Again, my focus was not, do the church people accept me? My focus was, am I growing the people that are hungry? That's
Yes.
all I cared about. And so, so someone mentioned to me and they were like, yeah, but man, that area did not like you when you were there. And someone else goes, man, your name gets tossed around a lot there though now, in good ways. And I said, well, the thing is,
Just send me a list. I'll handle it.
I said, I never cared about who accepted me, who didn't accept me. The thing is that I knew what I was doing, and because another person then pitched in and said, but the way you led worship and the way that you discipled people became a standard that the whole area changed to doing it that way. And the way that they all do it today is because of the way you did it then. And I go, that was the thing, is I kept my eye on, if I keep faithful to my assignment, what fruit is supposed to be born out of this place. And so people may not have liked me, but today they're all doing the stuff that I brought in.
Come on. That's exactly it. So there was a difference between your plowing season, your planting season, your growing season, and your fruit season.
Yes.
Eventually, fruit showed up because it was
Yes.
rooted well.
Yes.
You know what? And rooting, man, it's a dirty job. Plowing is a dirty job. You have to dig through a lot of dirt, and it is not always fun, and it's not always clean. But you keep pressing on till you see fruit. So if you're in a season right now where you're plowing away or you're trying to plant yourself, like there's a season, and if you're a minister and you have people in your church, well, they're not fruiting, but are they rooting? If they're sitting there rooting, they may be in a rooting season until they get rooted, and then you can ask them to be fruitful.
Yes.
Right. Then you
that's
can
so
start to
good.
produce fruit right. Don't prune them too early.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
prune them too early.
That's really.
We were just talking about that in our ministry school. We lose students in the very beginning because we go over a forgiveness book where we try to get them to let go of all the junk, get them cleaned up so they're ready to be poured into, right? We're trying to clean out their vessels so they're ready to be poured into. And what we realized is they're not rooted and matured enough to deal with the worst trauma of their life initially. And so we're trying to get them to forgive the worst stuff they went through so they're ready to be poured into. The reality is they need to be poured into and flush some of that stuff out naturally as they're poured into before they're ready to clean up the rest.
A lot of
before they're
times,
ready to polish it up.
yeah, a
And
lot of
so-
times it takes them seeing and going, man, I want the freedom I see in you, or the constant joy, or the
Right.
peace.
They have to
and
get ready.
that draws that out. Yeah, that's
Right.
that's
And
a really good point.
let people get rooted if they're not ready, and then they will fruit in season. But don't prune them the first leaf that pops up.
And let me say this too. I know we've said something along these lines before in here, but you've got to be able to value different leaders. You know, the thing is that there is a difference between between David's mighty men and Solomon's advisors.
Oh, come on.
And I need mighty men, but I also need advisors. Mighty men break ground. Mighty men go out and take territories, but they would also destroy. Like I even say this to Ellie. I'm like, you know, we're at a point now in our church where I need to step out a little bit. I need the other people to take over, because where I thrive is where there are many issues to take care of, where there's much advancement and development to take. I still
Mighty
need to,
men take territory, but advisors care for it.
yes, and that's the thing, is we have people who can care for things very, very well. And so I'm like, I can leave the kingdom in their hands. You know, I can leave it in their hands. But they don't thrive well in the those advisors probably would have died out on the battlefield with David. You know, and it's like, but they still serve a purpose.
But what's funny is if you take one of them out of their natural environment, fish out of water, and put them in the other group will criticize them and make fun of them
Yes.
to each other. They'll go, this brute, all he's good for is swinging a sword. You ignoramus. You don't know how kingdoms work. You don't know how politics work. You just know how to fight a fight. But you take that advisor and you put him on the battlefield, and they're like, why don't you cry, little baby? What's the matter? You can't negotiate your way out of this one, you little soft, little weak, girly man, right? Both of them in their environments are accurate of their assessment of the other one.
Yeah,
And both
yeah.
of them have lost their man card in the other person's environment.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're just not in your environment, and you're surrounded by people that do not understand the uniqueness or the position that you're called to in your life. So you're trying to be more advisory when you're called to be a warrior, or you're trying to be more of a warrior when you're called to be an advisor. Like, get in your right place in the kingdom.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that, again, a lot of those people, like we were talking about, that they've come out of the ashes and been given that crown of beauty, and now they're righteous oaks. They often are so able to walk with people. They have the experience and things like that. That I love being able to hand people over to them, because again, it's, you know, it's kind of like a lot of times when you're teaching an elementary student how to how to understand math or something like that, it might be hard for us who have known how to do multiplication for years, right? It might be hard for us to explain to this elementary student how to do that. But the other student who just learned how to do it last year or a month ago or a couple months ago goes, oh yeah, here's all you're doing. And to them it's very easy to break down, because that revelation's still very fresh to them, you know, whereas
Yeah.
we've gotten a lot of things funneled in. And so it's why I love authentic church, the thing is that in a lot of churches, we have people who've been walking with the Lord for 20 years, or we have people that are brand new. And that's not how a family looks, though. A family doesn't just have parents and children, or grandparents and children. There's grandparents and aunts and uncles and parents and other aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers and sisters. And so you have this stair step that it's like, hey, look, I may get advice from mom and dad or from the older cousins or aunt and uncle, but I have a picture of somebody who's a year or two older than me that helps guide me along. Seeing that picture of who I can be in a year or two is so helpful.
So helpful. So helpful.
And when
our
we
junior high kids will always listen to the high school kids more.
Yes. And so when we think of church being this organic, being a real family of Christ, it helps us grow so much better.
Absolutely. All right, let me say one last thing. There's a reason why it says they're mighty oaks. Why it specifically makes them oak trees. Did you know that oak is one of the strongest woods there is? Okay, it'll tear up your chainsaw trying to cut through it. Like, it's one of the hardest ones to cut through, okay? And there are going to be, the reason why God made you an oak is because when you start to be there for other people, they will try to whittle you down. But God has made you strong enough to withstand their little cuts.
That's
so
really
remember
good.
that as you go. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you guys for being here for Two Dudes in a Bible. I think this was a fantastic conversation.
Yeah.
Send this to the pastor that's not doing it right. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Pastor, you need to listen to them. You're not doing it right. Don't do that. Stop whittling down. Stop whittling your pastor. Okay.
Send all comments and
any hate messages, send that to justinhackle@gmail.com. All right, guys. Two Dudes in a Bible. We'll see you next week. You guys are amazing. I was going to let you say goodbye, but you said, I just have this one last thing to say, so I didn't let you.
Oh my. I look forward to seeing Chris too.
I said you have nothing else to say. Stop talking. Bible show.
Man, that guy has a good beard.
Our beards are smaller now because we're smaller.